Welcome to the Devon Corner, where we discuss the world's most practical breed of cattle and the roles they play in different production systems around the globe. Joined today by my co-host, Steve Montgomery. Thanks for being here, Steve. And
Gladly.
RDUSA Vice President Heidi Leitzell. Thanks for joining us, Heidi.
Good morning.
I will, as always, turn it over to Steve for a blessing, and we'll dive right into it.
All right. Let me pray for us. Father, thank you for today. Thank you for the opportunity to again to be together on the podcast with Jeremy and to interview Heidi this time and just to draw her out from the shadows of the board. And she's the secret weapon that we bring to most events. And we're just thankful for her and the life she brings to our team, to this board, but also to Devon Cattle, to her community, to her church, to her family. Thank you for the opportunity to get to know her a little more in public and to share her with the people we love and people we don't even know. And just ask that you would allow Heidi's story to be a glimpse into what you're doing in central Pennsylvania and in and through her and through Devon Cattle. Thank you for the opportunity to be stewards of these awesome animals. And we just look forward to our conversation today and give it all to you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir. Well, Steve touched on it a little bit there. Heidi, I can already tell you, is very modest and going to say she doesn't have that much experience and doesn't know why she's where she is, and she downplays a lot. We've seen her cattle. We know the work she's doing there is good work, and so before she starts playing it down. We're going to lead with that. But Heidi, we're thrilled that you're here, and your story is a good one. I'm not going to try to tell it. Will you tell us a little bit about more about who you are and how you got to where you are with Devon Cattle and the role they play in your production system?
Okay, well, I'll get started. Yeah, I was thinking about this because I was listening to the other podcasts, of course, and thinking about is where do you start? So first, I guess I'd like to start. You guys are all so kind. The first reason I'm successful with cattle at all is because of the organization and the people in this organization. The fact that everybody wants to help each other, regardless of their own bloodlines and regardless of where they live, it's been what has made me successful at whatever level I feel that I am or that I am in fact achieving. Everybody wants everybody to rise. So it's that in and of itself has always been great. Whenever I've seen Jeremy at conferences or whatever, always happy to talk about cattle and things like that. So and just being now a member of the board and being more active in that, everybody is just super. So, if you're watching this for the first time and wondering about Devon Cattle, do not hesitate to contact anybody on the board or in the organization because truly people want to see everybody be successful with Devon. So that's kind of that'll be my promo for the organization. But how did I get started in them? I've always been kind of an outside person. I love being outside, but I'm a horse person at heart. Always loved horses. And so when my husband and I were looking for a farm, I wanted something for horses and he wanted something for hunting. And so we found our place that we are in right smack dab in the middle of Pennsylvania, close to Penn State University, in Beech Creek. And we bought that in 1992 and started with the horses. And I actually raised field-grown cut flowers for quite a few years. And then the grazing the cattle was something that was on my radar of something I wanted to do. Again, going to conferences, going to PASA, very involved with that and listening to people there. And as I was considering cattle, the grass fed was just really kind of kicking off. So this was early 90s. And listening to Gerald Fry on cattle. And of course, Jeremy, I know you were around talking them up and stuff too. So I kind of figured, if there's ponies and horses that get fat on grass, there's got to be cattle that get fat on grass. And so that's when I started researching them. And my first animals were, we were just talking about this from Bill and Althea Wagman. and they're Lakota breeding. And so I started off with two heifers and got my bull from he was actually the 97K. Bob had him for
Oh,
years then. Adventure.
Adventureland. Yeah.
Adventure Rode a Cow. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So had him and they were those three were my foundation and kind of went from that. And then from that bull, I went to a milking Devon. And you said I could send pictures and I'll have to send a picture of him because he was just, I saw this bull and I was smitten. He was Wiseacre Farm Slocum, a milking Devon bull, and he was just majestic. And so I had him for a few years, and so you can pick out in the herd when I have the milking Devon girls versus the Rotakawa girls. You can see them in the field there. But and then so I had him for a few years, and then went to I have a couple other bulls. I've gotten them through Bob Van Kirk, so Four Seasons Farm. So I don't know if that tells you everything, kind of randomly, but yeah. So grazing is what I do. I have very hilly acres. When I first started grazing, it was funny. You went to the grazing conferences, and the guys were converting cropland to grazing, right? And so they had these nice squares, and they were laying out paddocks in certain sizes because they measured it, and that's how it was going to be because you had the paddocks, and that's how many cattle you could feed, and you laid out your water lines. I was like, oh my goodness, I'm never going to be able to do that. I live on hills, and so I just kind of took from whatever I heard and adapted it. And so now I have my home farm is all completely fenced and able to move around in paddocks. But it's just interesting having been around and listening to things for as long as I have, how things have adapted and changed. But yeah, initially it was like, oh no, you've got to measure your paddocks and then you have to clip them and you have to plant your ryegrass and you have to be constantly vegetative and all these things. It's just so interesting where the whole grazing thing has gone and just the knowledge and what everybody has learned from it. But through it all, the Devons, why did I pick them? Not only because I heard and understood that they would finish on grass, but the docility was a big factor. Of course, my husband didn't want, crazy cow because at first I thought Scottish Highland, and that was quickly nipped in the bud. He said, "No, you will not have things with horns that big." So the fact that the Devons were docile, that they were a different kind of breed, I didn't want to just nothing against Red Angus or Black Angus, but I just didn't want to do that. I wanted to do something different. I have, small acreage. I wasn't going to run big numbers, so I wanted to do something a little different. So the fact that the history behind the Devons was really appealing too, that this was a historical breed, heritage breed. I saw them, they were in Bedford Village and Williamsburg. In fact, I saw them and people were like, oh, this is a Devon cow. And I'm like, I know it's a Devon cow. So that very much appealed to me. And yeah, so those were some of the things that made me, really attracted me to Devons, and they have not disappointed. The docility of the Devons has been just great. I sold a couple steers to somebody who had never had them, and he had them in with his group, and he's like, "Oh, I just love how calm they are. He's just so calm." And I'm like, "It's a docile factor. That's a docile trait, and that's why I have them." They've gotten out before, and all you have to do is you have to put a little white fence up and say, "Nope, back this way, guys." And they're not running amok.
Hmm.
So I don't know. Did I touch on everything there? You said you'd guide me back. I kind of feel
Great
like
story.
I went through my notes there of all my little bullet points. So if there's anything I missed.
Well, I think if you point out a couple of things that resonate with me. One, your Adventure 97K bull was half Dairy Devon as well. And he was your first bull, and then you had the Wiseacre bull. So you built the foundation of your herd with very maternal genetics, the Dairy Devon genetics. And I think I don't know if it was by design or not, but when people are getting started, a lot of them are thinking steers and meat, and most eyes are drawn to meat and muscle. And I think a foundation herd should be, I mean, you want good bulls in there, but that maternal side is powerful. And seeing the steers you brought to the national event last year for the demo, plenty of meat and muscle, right?
Mhm.
So, and I think Bob's done a good job helping you select the
Hmm.
right bulls to complement that maternal line. Um, but my advice is every decade or so, put a little dose of that maternal back in there because it goes a long way. Um, the other thing that you said that resonated with me was about the grazing conferences and how much it's changed and I think it has changed, but the other piece of it is I think people have to walk before they can run.
Sure.
And so, when you first learn about rotational grazing, it's just moving them from one field to another, and then as you said, it gets way more complicated from there. And there's so many factors that play into, are you mob grazing? Are you strip grazing? Are you flash grazing? And what do those things mean? And what do they mean in Pennsylvania is very different from Georgia, right? And
Hmm. Hmm.
as are the grasses and soil. So I think that you have to learn it in stages. And when we do our event this year here at Lakota, we do the pasture health and soil health classes. We're trying to break people up. The beginner group will be out there with grazing sticks, and this is what polywire is, and you got to think about shade and water, and identifying basic grasses. And at the higher level, they're going to look at water infiltration and microbiology and root depth and uh, everything else. And you know, it would be a big mistake to be in the wrong group, right? Because if if you think you're going to jump to the advanced class and you haven't learned the basics, you're not going to understand what they're talking about. And uh, anyway, now I'm rambling. Steve, what did you take out of that? Anything I missed?
I mean, it's great to hear your story, Heidi. I'd love to hear some of the present kind of state. What's your present state look like since all that, those inputs in the past and the combination of the adventure bull and then also the new bulls from Bob. And so where are you now? How did you get to those amazing steers you brought to the show that you wouldn't sell to anyone?
No. Yeah, maybe I should have. In hindsight, maybe I should have let two of them go anyway. So
Yes.
the story will continue because my entry for the state contest will be from one of those animals. So I
Nice.
think that'll be really cool to kind of see the whole continuity, kind of see how the whole thing plays out. Because I've got a picture, and it was pretty cool because I went to the butcher, and I've got a picture of my grass-fed carcass next to some grain-fed carcasses, and just the difference. Again, from what I saw, and what I saw is impressive. Just kind of how it hung, the fat cover, the amount of fat coverage on it, the color of the fat coverage. The fact that there was coverage but not globs of coverage. It was just very interesting. So, and just interesting to hear also the butcher talk about what he prefers to process in that. But now here we're going in a different direction. So where I am now, I have 20 cows, which
Hmm.
might be one or two too many. And we had kind of a droughty year last year. So back to the pasture discussions. You make decisions. Some of them are good,
Hmm.
some of them not so good. But I don't know who I listen to at some point. It's like you learn something, right? So I'm learning that maybe you take them off a little sooner, and that idea that you had about building biomass on there by grazing, and maybe it doesn't work out so good in some areas, but I have so much variability on my farm. It'll be interesting, but it'll all work out. So I've got about 20 cows right now, like I said. Um, you can definitely see the difference in the dairy versus the Rotakawa. I still have one from 97K. She's a 2013 cow, still producing a calf for me, that you can definitely see. So I have the bull that I have now is Duke Josh, Four Seasons Duke Josh, and I'd have to look. You guys memorize your pedigrees much better than I do. Um,
Got to be
just
Applewood Josh, son.
Yeah.
yeah. So it's just very interesting always to see as well too with the cows. You get them my experience has been you wean them and they look the group is a little more uniform. And as they mature, you start being able to pick out the differences.
Hmm.
And then I have a group of right now that 2-year-old heifers that I'm getting ready to sell. And over the winter, I was like, oh my goodness, they look gangly, but they always come back. They get back to this. They hit that 2-year-old mark, and all of a sudden, they're different animals again. So my experience has been you kind of have those little kind of gawky teenage years in them. That's what my experience has been. So I have the 20 cows. I've got calves coming. I've got a group of yearlings that have decided that they do not want to wait to be purchased. They let themselves out into a paddock yesterday morning. Um, so it- yeah, ask me your question again, Steve. Otherwise, I'll just start rambling about all different
No,
kinds of things
I
about
was,
what I
yeah,
see.
you're touching on it. It's current state. Like
It's current
what's,
state,
yeah.
yeah. So it's interesting to see how things go. So I'm still chasing udders.
Hmm.
That's what I call for bad udders. If there's something in there, that'll be after a year or two. If their udders just aren't looking right, they go. So I'm still chasing those. More, I feel more successful. They're good. And I've had some people suggest that just because the cow's udder doesn't always look good, does she produce a good calf? And I've got a couple like that. I in fact had one that had an injury so severe over the winter. I'm not quite sure how it happened, and I was really kind of embarrassed because I just never noticed that she was suffering. And maybe I can send a picture of that too, because it's amazing. She must have had an infection that I never noticed. It blew up. I treated it. I doctored her and stuff like that, but she was out with the group. She wasn't coming in. And within a couple of weeks, that udder closed up. She's got her calf. Her udder looks normal, which to me, it's like I thought she was going to have a crazy wonky quarter,
Hmm.
but she's fine. Um, so, again, I'm rambling here on what's going on the farm, but those are the kinds of things that kind of are interesting to watch for is and selecting for, and then kind of paying attention to, right? So if I'm selling that heifer, let the buyer know this is what I noticed in mom. The bull might have produced something different for you, but if you see it going this direction, be mindful. Or if you're just doing something commercial, you're going to have a good cow and you're going to produce a nice steer. But if breeding stock is what you're after, be mindful of these things, right? So I think, kind of keeping the not just the genetics, but how does it actually play out is important if you're selling breeding stock. If you're just, selling steers, or I don't sell a lot of feeders. Usually I have all my feeders able to finish those and sell those to my own freezer beef people. So yeah, those kinds of things. That's kind of what's going on. That's where I am. Those are the things that I've been watching for right now on my herd. Who really is producing really something that I want to keep and retain as breeding stock, and what just goes
Hmm.
for beef.
That's
That
great.
bad udder gene can hide, in the gene pool and re-express itself generations later, and that's a whole nother, podcast. But makes me happy to hear uh, that it's something you're paying attention to. And, you know, best advice I can give people is make sure you see the udder of the cow that produced that new bull you're getting ready to buy.
Hmm.
Um, because that's the best indicator I know of what kind of, udders he's going to throw in his daughters.
Yeah, one bad cow you can recover from, but a bad bull. Yeah.
Yeah, bull throwing bad udders. Well, the problem is he breeds your cows and calf's born and you breed her at a year, 18 months or two or whatever, and she calves a year later, and you don't know she got a bad udder for 3 years. Well, you've already used the bull two more seasons. It's devastating. So uh, it's important to watch for, and just listening to you talk, you clearly observant, paying attention to the cattle and paying attention to your land and your pastures, uh, and I think that's the biggest mistake people make is they stop being observant. They get too busy, they get too many enterprises going, they got off the farm things happening, and they quit observing. You said earlier too, you might have too many cows, which means if that is true, it means that every cow on the farm's hungry, right? Because there's not enough grass. Man, it is hard to build biomass and improve pastures if you're overstocked. I see everybody go through it. At some point, they get overstocked and everybody on the farm suffers, and it takes at least a year to recover from. But some people learn from it the first time, other people have to go through it several times. So, um,
Yeah, it's tough choices. You see the good things and your cow's like, oh, I can't let that one go. Oh, I don't want to let that one go. I mean, I have, the friendly ones, they can't let her go. And and maybe she should. So yeah, it's we'll see what happens.
well, and like we haven't had rain. Well, it's raining right now. So do I keep those heifers I was going to sell, or do I sell them, right? And you want to be proactive and move quickly, but as you say, there's so many variables and
Hmm.
everything going on your farm, in your business, in your herd. If you don't like gambling, don't get into agriculture because
Right.
we're rolling the dice every day to some degree.
And it's spring now, so I was talking to I had some visitors from Thailand, and their mission is they farm, community farm, and then uh, they work with young women to keep them out of the sex trafficking, the human trafficking there, but they do it through farming. And we were just talking about, kind of beginning of the season things and stuff like that. Every farmer is hopeful right now, right? We've done all our prep work. It's going to be a great year. We're going to have rain. We're going to get the hay that we hope for. The pastures are going to be green. The fence isn't going to break. All these things. We're always hopeful. I mean, you have to always be optimistic, but how do you stay realistic in our optimism? I mean, yeah, we're optimistic people. Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing this if we wouldn't always be hoping for the best.
For sure. And that's why everybody's phone's ringing this time of year because everybody's got green grass. And whether you're in a drought or not, it looks like, spring is here and everything's wonderful.
Hmm.
Um, and yet, if you watch the news, I know the late cold, I've heard something about the apple crop all up through New York, just devastated with um, late frosts and
Mhm.
freezing temperatures. And I got a picture of a bull of mine from Bill Pickin yesterday, a video, and he's in knee-deep mud because they've had so much rain. And I can't get a fence post in the ground here because we haven't had any rain. And it's it seems like there's more extremes everywhere you look. Well, back to gambling. Heidi, you're the gambling director for RDUSA when you host our
Oh
annual
my,
silent auction, and your silent auction brought in enough last year to make the event profitable for RDUSA for the first time in several years. Not like we lose a ton of money, but it's nice to operate on that side of not in the red. What's the secret?
oh, the secret is participation. I mean, I organized it, but everybody was just, and I see you have a little, like, do you have a little glass in the background there, Jeremy?
Yeah, the little
Yeah.
grazed wine
Yeah.
glass.
Yeah. Nice. Nice. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, so I reached out we started it well the first event we had when we came back from COVID, and the response was good there, and it just kind of, compounded. So the idea last year that I kind of encouraged everybody to do was to do something regional donations. So from wherever your region was. So we had stuff from Georgia, we had stuff from Maine, from New York, and I think that doing that, it kind of got people's juices flowing on what to donate, but it also was something then that people were like very willing to support. So wherever people were from, they were able to bring kind of representative things from their community and from their area. And again, this is just a generous group. So when they saw opportunity to buy back in, to donate, and to promote the company. It was or not the company, excuse me, but promote the organization. Everybody was very willing to do that. So the participation was the key. And I think, oh, the secret is I don't have a secret. Yeah, I asked and people showed up and they brought and people purchased. So the generosity was the secret. So that's what I'm hoping to do this year. Do you want me to get into that?
Please.
Okay, so I'd like to do the same thing this year. So hopefully through this, people will get some ideas flowing and some juices flowing. So again, we did it regionally last year. And so, for instance, there was, if you have your own shop, I think see it as a little opportunity for a little bit of self-promotion. If you have things from your shop, again, the organization, I'm from, the Mid-Atlantic. I'm not going to see your shop down in Georgia. Bring your stuff from Georgia, and then I'll be able to participate and support you and get something and support the organization and vice versa, Georgia to Maine or, Pennsylvania to Montana. So whatever it is that you feel is kind of a regional thing, regional products, either ask for donations. Maybe your farm stores, your other local farm markets might be willing to donate something, or if you would be in a position to be generous enough to donate something from your shop. Food is always good. That's always a big hit. People like food from everywhere. Um, Little objects day art. The other things that seems to do well at silent auctions would be like uh, artwork or anything else themed. So if you've ever been to some of these fundraising things, you know kind of what I mean by themes. So perhaps if you have a fencing supply place near you, or you have something like that, fencing supplies, nutritional supplements, Ken Cove has been generous and donated things. I'm even thinking something like books. If there's books that you have read that you know that you enjoy, getting books in there. My sister is married to a winemaker. She and her husband have a wine company out in Oregon. So that's why you have the wine glasses and the wine. So themes like that. Anything that you can do that's a little bit maybe, and if you don't have anything that's like that, don't be hesitant to donate a one-off item. Say, maybe you have a thing or you have one or two books. Because then what I do with those items is I can pair it with things from RDUSA. So we still have a stock of, say, the blankets or some t-shirts, and I could do a little group thing and kind of make whatever the one or twosies that you might have that you think are not that impressive on their own. I can combine it with some other items and make a thing. So it's not like people have to submit fancy baskets with cellophane wrapping and a big bow on it. That's not necessary. If you want to do that, that's great. But if that's not what you want to do, I can take it and do something at the organization, at the event
People
for
have
that.
questions about items, will it work or won't, or how they get it to you. What's the best way for them to find that out? To email you or
Email, I'm a little slower on response. I will confess. I will get to you eventually. If you really want to text me or give me a call and I'll get back to you. But certainly items wouldn't, unless you plan on not being at the event, items would not have to be shipped, but could be brought to the event. And again, I'm more than happy to create a little thing. We did and maybe I'll send a picture of the table that we had last year. We don't set it up as big fancy baskets. It can be just out there on the table and laid out. The other thing that we did, the other thing that I need to know though is maybe what your value of it is. The last thing I'd want to do is offend anybody by not putting an appropriate value on the item they're donating. We may or may not get that value, but at least I want to know what the value of the items that you're sending to me, what you feel it's worth. So we've had people have donated semen. We have had people donate, like I said, the fencing supplies. If you even have services regionally, if there's some sort of service that you feel that you can donate within your region that people might purchase, we can do that as well. But if you give me kind of the value of it, I can put that in there. The other neat thing that we do too, thinking about how the auction goes, we did what we call a buy it now thing. which worked out pretty cool because it's nice to have the silent auction bidding and coming back to check things. But if you know I can only stay at the event until 4 and then I'm out of here. If you like that item, we put a maximum amount item on there. So, you've got the donation items there are worth maybe, let's say, $100. And we'll put, buy it now for 125. Sure, you'd like to see it maybe go for more. So that's where we put a slightly more value on it. So if you really like that item, you buy it now for that price and you can take the item. And that's worked out fun. So sometimes people, they just like, nope, that's the one I want. And you can put that price on it and it's yours. So
I left early last year. You got me with a buy it now on two or
sure.
three things.
Yeah,
Uh,
That's how you got those trophies behind you.
that is, that
that
is
is. Those are paid for.
buy it now. You can see from behind Steve that he's not very quick on buy it now.
I'm not.
He's
I
got an
low bid.
olive branch behind him, but other than that, uh, maybe this year, Steve, you can be a little quicker on the bid.
Yeah, we'll see.
Buy it now, day one. Well, Heidi, the silent auction the last couple of years has been fantastic, not just
Mhm.
last year, and it's been fun. And you make a good point. Bring your semen tank. Take the shipping out of the equation. And there will be other breeders at the event with semen for sale too. Uh, so I encourage those that are traveling, bring that storage tank with you. If you have questions about the silent auction, reach out to Heidi. She's easy to work with. I promise you, I didn't put anything in a fancy basket and cellophane. But when I got to the event, she had it displayed and uh, uh, set out great. Yeah, if you send us those pictures, Heidi, we'll put that up. All this, everything with this year's event is on the website. You can go in, you can get connected to Heidi for the silent auction. You can get in the different contests, buy your tickets, show entries, all of it on the website. So check it out. Go to Red Devon USA as usual, and get signed up. We'll look forward to seeing everybody first weekend there in October. Um, Heidi, thank you so much for joining us. Um,
A pleasure. Can I just say to I listened to Bob's recent. Bob was very kind. He's been excellent to work with, and since Bob's one of the closest people to me, he has also been the one of the people most helpful to me. So big shout out to Bob Van Kirk, but everybody, again, everybody. I know other people have talked about it before, like the Kyle Show and things like that. You just this group of people, if you can make it to this event, you will not be disappointed. Just being around everybody and the encouragement you'll receive and the knowledge that'll be able to be exchanged will just be well worth the effort to get to this year's event.
Well, and you mentioned Bob, but Diana too
Oh
is your
yes.
partner in crime when it comes to the silent auction and
Yes, yes. Thank you,
just the
Steve.
behind the
Thank you.
scenes.
She has been always there and she's here. You talk about a woman, somebody in the shadows in the background there. She's always there. She's been willing to help me be there when I'm not there. If I'm at a seminar or whatever, she's been covering for me and helps me organize and do the display and everything. Thank you, Steve. I was remiss in not mentioning
Oh,
Diana. And she's the behind the scenes. She's what makes the Four Seasons Farm happen too. Bob's just the front guy.
took
It's
the words right out of my
she's,
mouth.
she's the engine. She's great. But yes, she's been a big help. But yeah, so yes, you won't be disappointed.
yes, we have great leadership in this group, and the continuity on the board and amongst members is as good as it's ever been. So I agree with you. It's
Yeah,
a great
everybody
time.
contributes something. It's awesome. It's just so diverse and everybody's so all in that it's fantastic.
It is indeed, and cattle are bringing record prices, and new herds are starting all over the country, new members all the time. Um, there is a shortage of Devon stocker cattle. If you have stocker cattle, breeding stock you want to sell,
Call
um,
me.
on the website, call Steve. He's short right now too. I'd love to have about 40 more, but I need 10 inches of rain before I'm going to
Mm.
go that way. Um, but yeah, it's great opportunities, um, and let's all hope that we can grow the breed and the membership responsibly with the right type of cattle, doing what Heidi talked about, getting rid of the ones with the bad udders and other problems, um, and building the breed on solid stock. But that said, the show has also been better and better and better the last 4 or 5 years. The quality of cattle, in these national tours we've done, just continues to go up and up. So hats off to all the breeders around the country for good work. Heidi, thank you for your leadership as vice president and for running the silent auction. And everyone have a blessed day.